Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pleb Underground, the signal without the slop. I'm your host, Phil. All right, let's take a look at the news we are going to be diving into today. We've got, for the Hopium, we've got Fidelity. Yeah, they're talking Bitcoin. Also, right, we've got a solid Hopium video saying Bitcoin should be $1.5 million right now. That's the purchasing power you should be getting out of it. And of course, the sell your gold for Bitcoin. That noise is just amplifying, and there's no shortage of it today. We're going to take a look at that as well. Moving on to paper Bitcoin, guys. Of course, there's still so much more paper Bitcoin to be had. Vanadi Coffee, another announcement out of Vanadi Coffee. I just like to take a look at them because you know what? There were so many people that gave me crap about my take about these broke companies pretending that they're going to be able to hodl Bitcoin into the future. I just like to rub it in, right? Little salt. Anyways, we've got BlackRock ETFs. That's right. Paper Bitcoin summer indeed. I don't know what to think of this news. We're going to take a look at it. There's this assertion that OGs are somehow converting their Bitcoin into shares for the ETF. We're going to take a look at that. Russia evading sanctions with crypto. Yeah, not Bitcoin. Not like the pictures want to show you on Twitter, right? Where they slap the Bitcoin logo and then they put the picture of Vladimir Putin on the side and they're like, he's using Bitcoin. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows that. History is it repeating itself? Yeah. We're gonna dive into some pretty interesting videos. There was a guy who was shilling SBF once upon a time, actually the last cycle, right? Big philanthropist, right? He's just giving money away. Well, he's back and he's making another video about somebody else, and we're gonna dive into that. And of course, right? What kind of a bull run would we have without quantum FUD, right? We need the quantum FUD. It keeps us going. It keeps us alive. So we're going to dive into it, and we're also going to debunk it because why not? Why not? All right, guys, you know the deal. Give a shout out to the Pleb Underground sponsor, and we are going to be right back with all the fun. Here we go. Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. Okay. Let's just dive right into it by taking that off and changing this. Okay, I know I'm going to get better doing that stuff. Okay, so let's just start right away. Standard Charter says, sell gold, buy Bitcoin. Rotations could become more frequent. The only thing that's more frequent is the noise. And obviously, like, I'm not a gold bug, I'm not a gold shill or any of that stuff. Indeed, right? If you want to mitigate your exposure to the fiat system, obviously, Bitcoin and gold. But I think this is a whole lot of noise, right? Like, I think that's all we're seeing. It's like 4 or 5 days. And interestingly enough, right, some of the gold bugs are actually sitting there saying this is a coordinated attack by Bitcoiners, right? I've seen that messaging. So look, I can tell you personally, I'm not coordinating any attack against gold. I think that I think these narratives like this are just complete freaking nonsense. But it's a lot of fun, right? It's a lot of fun. It brings a lot of attention. Anyways, yeah. So whatever. I don't think you should. You know what? If you've got gold and you're happy with it, and you've got Bitcoin and you're happy with it, just do what makes you happy. It's just funny. You don't need to sell your gold to buy Bitcoin, and you don't need to sell your Bitcoin to buy gold because all of a sudden it outperforms Bitcoin in this cherry-picked narrow range. Okay, it's all just noise. Okay, anyways, moving on, guys. We've got solid Hopium. Let's dive into it. Let's take a look at the why not? You know what? The Fed governor, right? Federal Reserve Governor Christopher Waller. He says, I have always argued that Bitcoin was going to end up being something like electronic gold. It's a store of value. I find this kind of stuff interesting because where were all these people when Bitcoin was dead and a joke in 2013 and 2014 and all of this stuff? It's just funny that it's the I've always said. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. But hey, we appreciate it, right? We appreciate it. Okay. Fidelity, right? Let's take a look at what's going on at Fidelity, because this is something that, to me, right? This is mainstream. This is mainstream customers, and they're talking about Bitcoin. What am I talking about? So there was this post here from Fidelity Digital Assets, which is a division of Fidelity, right? Digital assets are becoming central to advisor-client conversations. And here we go. This is the quote. Digital assets are becoming a key conversation between financial advisors and their clients as more investors believe the asset class is here for the long term, crucial for advisors to be prepared. So, spoiler alert, it's not crypto that they're here for. I know, right? So usually I'm the first one to like debunk this and be like, no, they're not talking about Bitcoin. They're talking about shitcoins. But they're not. Anyways, Fidelity Digital Assets noted that digital assets are now a central part of discussions between financial advisors and clients, signaling growing interest. Fidelity Digital Assets disclosed that 50% of the respondents in its recent survey believe Bitcoin is here to stay. Bitcoin is here to stay. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to try to sell you absolute garbage. Right? I mean, let's be honest. They're going to make the majority of their fees on the garbage. But the signal here is the corn. That's what it is. It's Bitcoin. That's the signal. Okay. All right, let's just dive into the paper Bitcoin stuff. I just find paper Bitcoin so amusing. It's good stuff. All right, so here we go. Spanish company Vanadi Coffee buys 2 additional Bitcoin and now holds a total of 109 BTC. Hey, Vanadi, why don't you try fixing this crap first? That's what a pump and dump chart looks like, guys. This is more of just a dump chart. I always like to bring it up because so many people were sitting here like way back when you could see over here that there's like all of a sudden this uptick in volume near the end, right? Like right between June and July. And Phil, you're wrong. These guys are buying Bitcoin. Yeah. And it's still flatlined and dead. Nobody cares, right? Guys, this is a weekly chart. Every single one of these candles is 1 week of price action. This is garbage. Anyways, what they should be working on is shoring up their revenue, right? Because the amazing thing is that when a business makes enough money to sustain itself, this sounds crazy, guys, they can pay for their bills, they can keep the lights on, and they can afford to continue holding Bitcoin. I know this is wild stuff. You'll appreciate it in the future, though, because right now nobody understands that, apparently. Okay, moving on. We've got more paper Bitcoin. There's always more paper Bitcoin. So this is the piece I was talking about, right? That whales, right, are supposedly selling their Bitcoin for BlackRock ETF shares. Yeah. So according to this, whales just shifted 3 billion of Bitcoin into BlackRock's ETF. Well, let's go dive into that a little bit more. So Robbie Mitchnick revealed that BlackRock has turned more than $3 billion worth of Bitcoin into ETF shares so far. One of the main reasons Bitcoin whales are converting their holdings is the convenience of being able to hold their exposure within their existing financial advisor. I had to reread that one a few times. I mean, I get what he's saying, but dude, are we really going to sit here and believe that these Bitcoin whales, right? We're talking about people who have been here for most likely over a decade, right? To accumulate that amount of Bitcoin. And you're going to tell me that all of a sudden these people wake up one day and they decide, oh, the convenience of my brokerage, the convenience of my financial advisor. I just want my Bitcoin to be safe. I'm not buying that. I think that's just made up shit. While BTC is still considered a risky asset, once it is part of the traditional financial system, this is funny, through ETF shares, it can be used as collateral, borrowed against, and passed on to their heirs. Spoiler alert, all of that is already possible. All of that is already being done. So this is just bullshit. I actually think this story is all fake. I think that this story is specifically designed to make other people who are holding Bitcoin think that this is what's happening so that they do it. Anyways, yeah, I just don't buy any of this. Anyway, some clients want to turn only 20% of their Bitcoin holdings into ETF funds. Others want to turn all of it. I'm just calling bullshit on that story. Yeah, that's where I'm going with that. I think it's fake, made up nonsense. What do you guys think? I feel like my story of the they're trying to lure other people into doing this is more accurate than the actual story itself. Anyways, we'll see. Moving on. More BlackRock news, right? Because that's really what we want, right? Every single person is just talking about more BlackRock news. That's right. So BlackRock bought another $205 million worth of Bitcoin for its spot Bitcoin ETF. Translation, okay? It is people who bought shares, and therefore BlackRock has to go and purchase that Bitcoin in kind. Okay? That's really what's happening over there. And you know what I realized? I realized that during the Hopium, I missed out on showing this very important video before we continue on to the Russia stuff. This is I always like watching Tom Lee. I don't know why, but he's so entertaining. Let's see what he had to say.
A little bit like a Swiss Army knife, because it really does meet the fact that it's a risk-on asset, but it's a network value asset. And I think that as more people adopt Bitcoin, it still explains most of the increase in price. And of course, it's a great safe haven asset. I mean, I think for the next 10 years, I think the easiest way to think of Bitcoin is that it should have the same network value as gold. And gold, if it's a $23-30 trillion asset, that means Bitcoin should be at least $1.5 million per Bitcoin.
Okay, guys, you heard Tom Lee say it: $1 million to 1.5 million soon. Okay, we're getting this very, very soon. I love the price predictions. The price predictions make me happy, right? They give me lots of hope. That's why it's Hopium. All right, moving on. We've got some more paper Bitcoin summer stuff. That's right. It just does not end. This is like the day of paper Bitcoin summer, even though it's not summer anymore. Okay, so T. Rowe Price, right? So what is that? They control something like, they manage like almost $2 trillion of assets. Okay, T. Rowe Price files for its first. That's right, guys. Womp womp. Crypto ETF. Meh. Not surprised. Let's dive into this though. What are they doing? The proposed ETF would offer investors exposure to anywhere from 5 to 15 coins that meet the fund's eligibility standards. They're about to learn a very important lesson with shitcoins. A list that currently ranges from Bitcoin and Ether to Solana, Dogecoin, and Shiba Inu, according to the prospectus. Well, I'm just glad that T. Rowe Price has all that money, because they might need it. They might need it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really care about the crypto ETFs, and I think they're going to end up learning a very important lesson over the long run. It's going to take a little while, though. It'll definitely, I believe, it'll take at least one cycle, if not two, for them to realize how terrible it is and that it should just be Bitcoin. But anyways, what else we got here? So this is a little bit of paper Bitcoin pushback. Right? Because all we've been hearing for the last 4 months is how everybody's embracing paper Bitcoin. Everybody's embracing all of these products. All of this stuff is just so amazing. Well, here we go. Asian stock exchanges push back on crypto treasuries. Hong Kong exchanges blocked at least 5 companies from Bitcoin treasury strategies with similar resistance in India and Australia. All right, well, let's go dive into that one a little bit deeper. Take a look. So Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing has rejected the applications of 5 firms seeking to adopt Bitcoin treasury strategies in recent months. India's Bombay Stock Exchange last month denied India's first publicly listed company attempting to adopt the Bitcoin standard. In Australia, the ASX bars listed companies from keeping over half of their assets in cash or cash-like holdings, effectively ruling out the DAT pivots, right? Digital asset treasury pivots. So that's kind of interesting. Australia just shuts it down completely. But look, in terms of Asia, right? What's really happening is they don't have consistent regulation for each region. Okay, so the regions themselves aren't actually agreeing on a standardized framework. So this is why, at least to my knowledge, this is why these situations are playing out. But I'm not saying it as I'm not seeing it as a bad thing, right? I do think that there should be pushback on this. I do think that it's not just, everything isn't all just rosy, right? Like it's not all just blue skies and unicorns. It definitely isn't. And if you've been in this space for long enough, you know that unfortunately, really bad things happen very quickly. And like I've said many times, these businesses that don't have any free cash flow, do not have enough operating income to cover their expenses, but they're buying Bitcoin. Essentially what they're doing is it's hopium, right? They are hoping that they can outlast and essentially be able to then issue more shares or create more debt-based products to purchase more Bitcoin to continue to kick the can down the road. Now, there's nothing wrong with attempting this. However, the only entity which throughout history has proven time and time again that they can kick the can down the road pretty much infinitely is governments, right? Governments enforce violence. Governments print money. Governments are the only ones that can truly produce something out of nothing for any durable amount of time, okay? Whereas corporations, they'll only be able to do it for a very short period of time. And right now, yes, indeed, Wall Street has given the money printer to the Bitcoin treasury companies. But I got to tell you, I don't see them leaving the money printer there. I see them taking the money printer back. Anyways, moving on here. Oh, okay, that was I think that was it for the paper Bitcoin summer. Yeah. All right, nice. That was it for paper Bitcoin summer. Moving on. What do we got? When pump? I know, right? We're pumping like any day now, Pranav. Like it's happening, right? Is it actually happening right now? Probably not. Okay, you know what? Let's just go take a look at the charts. Meh. 109,860. It's always it's so funny. We're always dead. I still remember when we hit 126 and then we pulled back. I was like, and it's dead. I don't know why, but that kind of helps me, I guess. I guess that's my own form of hopium and copium. Okay. Anyways, moving on, guys. Moving on. Let's go take a look at the Russia stuff. Yeah. Huh? Let's go see what Russia's doing. So Russia's creating a legal system for crypto to avoid Western sanctions. Now, you're going to appreciate this. And the reason why I say you're going to appreciate this is because you're getting to see dystopian present and dystopian future and like outright tyranny just in broad daylight. And you'll see what I mean by this. Because it's always rules for thee and not for me. And Russia is just totally proving this right here. Let's dive into this. So Russia legalizes crypto use for foreign trade. The move is widely viewed as a strategic measure to provide Russian businesses with an alternative payment channel. Not you, peon, not you, little man, just the businesses. Doing so can ease the strain caused by Western sanctions on the country's access to traditional global banking. The new legal framework only applies to foreign trade settlements and maintains the ban on using cryptocurrency for domestic payments within Russia. Excuse me. So you can clearly see right there, right? The only it's just the rules for the aristocracy and for the people that are determined to be allowed to transact, right? It's I love seeing this. This is hilarious. Regulators designed this core policy to protect the ruble's financial stability. You can transact as long as you don't destroy our currency. The new legislation will be accompanied by strict regulation and enhanced oversight. Regulators remain intensely focused on controlling the inherent financial risks associated with decentralized cryptocurrencies, i.e., we need to make sure that we don't lose control, right? That's what matters here. This is all about control, and that's it. Proposed oversight measures will include stringent AML, right? Anti-money laundering, and KYC, know your customer standards, enforced by the Federal Financial Monitoring Service, processed through a regulated infrastructure under the direct supervision of Russia's central bank. Oh, wow. Yeah, they're definitely not using Bitcoin for any of that stuff. They're definitely not. Okay. All right, moving on. Moving on, guys. Hey, hold on. Let me take a look at the comments. Plankton. Sweet. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah, I hit all the sectors, but people don't like the truth. People just want to feel good, right? I remember that. I always wanted to just feel good about my bags, but then you know what happened? Things that I wanted to happen because I listened to the cheerleaders wouldn't happen, and then I would get disappointed, right? So, and if I was a little less resilient, I'd be like, hey, what they said isn't coming true. I'm dumping this. This is fake. So yeah. Okay, I'd rather just be accurate, and that way I don't end up fudding myself, right? Anyways, okay, sorry guys. I will shut up and continue with the stories. Okay, so the history repeating itself. Okay, you guys might remember this video if I can find it. I had this video here, but apparently it has disappeared. Okay, so no, wrong screen. I meant to do a share screen. Sorry, guys. Okay, so you guys, you might remember this dude. No thanks. Okay, here we go. Oh, wait. Share the audio. Okay, let's try that again. So this guy, Nas Daily or whatever, did an interview with Sam Bankman-Fried. What was that, like 2 years ago?
Okay, the guy you see next to me is the most generous billionaire in the world, and I found him.
Hi, my name is Sam, and this is my story.
Okay, anyways, we're obviously not gonna watch that whole video, but we all know how that ended, right? That's the giant FTX debacle. You know, him and Caroline essentially, you know, I am not going to go into the whole TLDR, but 133 shell companies, a whole bunch of money moving around, a whole bunch of celebrities shilling FTX. Bitcoin wasn't even on the exchange. It was all just a giant scam. People lost billions, all that good stuff. So obviously, when I see this video pop up, I'm a little concerned.
Found him. This billionaire owns the most number of Bitcoins in Latin America.
Hi, my name is Ricardo Salinas, and I don't have enough Bitcoin.
He believes in Bitcoin so much that he put 70% of his money in Bitcoin. And
Guy's a fucking bear. I've got over 99%. Okay? Try harder.
he has a lot of money. Ricardo started one of the largest banks in Mexico, bought the second largest media in Mexico, and owns hundreds of companies in Latin America. He doesn't own bonds. He doesn't own stocks. The one thing he believes in the most is
Bitcoin.
Now, see, if we didn't have precedent with that with Nas doing the SBF video, maybe I'd be a little bit more excited about this, right? Maybe I'd be like, oh, cool. but the one video he made was of like the worst blow up in the crypto space. So he's kind of like he's kind of hitting 100% right now. So now this is the second one, and it's kind of taken on the same form as the first video. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I'm not saying Ricardo is a scammer or anything like that. I'm just saying that this guy, right? The first video he did was the kiss of death. This is the second video. Hopefully a pattern does not emerge. Okay, guys, that's it. We're gonna go to the quantum FUD. That's right. Quantum FUD. Let's do it. Okay. Now you've probably seen a few posts like this. Okay, so I'm just gonna warn you guys, right? You've probably seen a few. There's a whole bunch of every once in a while, right? People want to they want to FUD Bitcoin, and one of the best ways to do it is with stuff that none of us understand, right? Such as quantum computing. So here we go. This was from Bitcoin Archive, but again, there's several big. I think even Bitcoin Magazine had a post like this, right? About how like Bitcoin needs to stay ahead of this, and Bitcoin needs to make sure this gets fixed. All right, so Google unveils major quantum computing breakthrough. Its new algorithm is running 13,000 times faster than the world's best supercomputer. Google says this clears the path for useful applications of quantum technology within 5 years. Bitcoin has to stay ahead of this. That's right. Bitcoin has to stay ahead of this. So, of course, I had to go do some digging, right? Like, what does this really mean? So, here's the facts about Willow, okay? So Willow isn't a general purpose quantum computer. It's specialized for error-suppressed simulations and still prone to noise, requiring cryogenic cooling and precise control. Experts like Harmit Nevin, Google's quantum AI VP, estimates practical large-scale applications could be 5 years away. Now, does this pose an imminent threat to Bitcoin's encryption? No, it's not an imminent threat at all. Willow's 105 qubits, okay, even with error reduction, are orders of magnitude short of the millions needed for Shor's algorithm. Current quantum systems, including Willow, excel at niche simulations, but can't run cryptographically relevant attacks. As University of Michigan professor Christopher Pikert notes, quantum threats to modern crypto like ECDSA have too far to go in the next few years, with a less than 5% chance of long-term existential risk, but no near-term reality. Okay? So yeah, the whole quantum FUD thing, guys, it's just bullshit. Now, granted, just because it's bullshit, it doesn't mean that we aren't going to have noise. It doesn't mean that we aren't going to have a whole bunch of FUDsters. It doesn't mean that we aren't going to get some other shit chain or some shit fork that's going to sit there and talk about how if you guys don't move over to this coin, Bitcoin's going to die. Look, every single person I have seen talk about how Bitcoin is going to die imminently has had something else to sell, right? They've either had another token to sell, they've had a client to sell, they've had some kind of a product to sell. It doesn't matter. There's always something to sell. So zoom out. Quantum is not destroying Bitcoin anytime soon. Okay. And if you're really concerned about it, there's guys like Hunter Beast, and I do apologize because there's two other people that worked on the BIP as well. There's BIP 360, which is meant to address the quantum concern for Bitcoin. So the idea that Bitcoin doesn't have the idea that there aren't people already looking into quantum resistance and the quantum FUD in regards to Bitcoin, it's nonsense. It's happening. So zoom out. Quantum FUD is a joke. None of that shit is real. Guys, that's going to do it for me for today. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and I'm going to see you all tomorrow, same time. And I'll start to shill this now, but next Monday, right? Monday, what's going to be the date? What are we doing this on like Halloween or something? No, of course not. So Monday the 27th, it's going to be Ulrich, myself, and Humble. Going to be doing the roundtable, going to be going over all of the drama that has happened in the last few weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. Anyways, have a great rest of the day. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.